Welcome to the Believe, Be Real, Be Bold podcast for authentic daters. I'm your host, Dave in Denver. Each week, we invite expert guests to come share their knowledge, tools, and tips to help you show up as your most authentic self. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Believe, Be Real, Be Bold podcast. I have invited my good friend Jessica Smith from episode 2 back into the studio today to do something unusual and fun that we came up with a couple weeks ago. If you remember, Jessica is a love and dating coach, and she is one of the best around because, plus she's one of my best friends. So as far as a raving fan goes, I am all in when it comes to what Jessica Smith has to say.
Thank you.
And what we've done today is we've invited her in to be my guest facilitator of a podcast episode. So I'm going to let you take the reins. Here are the keys to the Ferrari.
Ooh, thank you, Dave.
I want you to drive this thing as fast and as far as you want it to go.
Well, thank you so much. I'm honored for everything that you said about me. And yes, I have so much love and reverence for you as well. And I'm excited to turn the tables on you today.
What do you have in store for me?
So I'm going to interview you today. I want to find out who you are, what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what scares you a little bit, and
I got some healthy, justifiable fears, sure.
So I just want to dig into who you are and see what you
Good.
have to say.
I'm all yours. I'm a putty in your hands.
Oh, that's what I like to hear.
Let's have some fun, guys.
Yes. Okay, let's start. A question that you ask your guest, I'm going to ask you. So, how and why did you start doing your podcasts?
That's probably the question, isn't it? I've been single over a year now. I've told you guys before that I had one brief entanglement, 3-month-long relationship last year. But in the last year plus, that's pretty much been it. I date a lot. I go out on a lot of first dates. Okay. Even fewer second dates, and certainly fewer third dates after that. And why that is because when I first became single, May of 2017, I started to run into a lot of inauthentic people. Not labeling everybody that way, but that's just who I was running into. And the reason why I started a podcast for authentic dating in Denver is instead of getting frustrated about finding that type of person, I would rather create a community of authentic people myself so that they're closer, so that we have a better pool of people to choose from, whether they're best friends, whether they're coworkers, whether they're strategic partners in business, or if we just happen to find a relationship out of that pool of people, well then all the better. So I know that I'm not the expert when it comes to dating. Obviously, I've been single for over a year, and I'm still looking, right? But what I do know is I know people like yourself and our other expert guests, and I wanted to invite them to share their knowledge so that we as a community of authentic people have the tools and the skills to show up as our most authentic self.
That is so beautiful. And thank you. Thank you for doing all the work that you do.
You're welcome. It's a lot of fun.
It is fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, because like you said, if our ultimate goal is love and maybe a committed relationship, if you make friends, connect with people, business connections, there's a lot of different forms of love out there. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm going to follow the format that I used for a market research study that I did and that I used to write my book. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to take you back and we're going to get to know you a little more intimately.
Okay.
How about that?
All right. I'm game.
Okay. All right.
You might see some tears.
Just kidding. Oh, I'll hold your hands. Okay, Dave, we're going to do some basic things. This is just getting you warmed up a little bit.
Rapid fire.
Yes. So what is your date of birth?
I'm born July 12th, 1980.
Okay.
I'm 30 great this year.
That's awesome. And where were you born?
Billings, Montana.
Montana.
I'm a good old boy. I'm a small town guy.
Well, now.
But Denver's home.
Oh, that's great. How long have you been in Denver?
27 years now.
Okay.
Since 7th grade. Grew up in Littleton. Tried CSU, tried UNC, but ended up that Metro State was the right fit for me.
Fantastic. Okay. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 sisters.
Yeah?
I'm the baby. You guys might actually pick up on that because I'm kind of spoiled and I get what I want. But, my sisters are the only ones that really poke at me for being that child.
Yeah. As they should. Their role as sisters, right? What is your relationship like with your parents?
We're really, really close with my folks. They're clients of mine. I see them twice a week at least. If we see each other again, it's on the weekends with the rest of the family. We love to barbecue at my folks' place, and I would say that my dad is very stoic. He's a hard guy to get to know. We've become closer since he's been a client of mine for the last 5+ years, and this is kind of like a key moment moving forward in my vulnerability and authenticity is sharing the things that I share with my dad for the first time in my life since I was 37, going through a couple breakups. I decided that I wasn't going to hold back, and I would take off my own stoic mask to kind of create a better relationship with my dad. And it's working. We had a good long conversation yesterday about my business and the future and where I want to take it. And he was just a really good listener. And I appreciated that so much because I got to work out what was on my mind. But also, we talk a lot about acceptance and validation from others. Well, I wasn't seeking validation from my dad, but I was seeking his advice, his counsel. And I gave him all my ideas, and he said, "You're on the right track. I think that where you're headed is the right direction." But if I didn't have that foundation of building a better relationship with my dad, we wouldn't be able to have this very serious conversation about business and to be truly authentic between us. And then there's my mom. My mom is the sweetest person in the world.
I've met your mom.
Yeah,
And she is very sweet.
Yeah, you came to the birthday party,
Yes.
and both my folks were there. They've been married for 46 years, and they're going strong. They're both retired, but my mom was a teacher, and she has a big heart. She's really sensitive. She loves on her kids. She loves even more on her grandkids, and those puppies too. Oh my gosh. Anyways.
Well, the apple does not fall far from the tree.
Yeah, I do get along pretty well with my mom. She was my first client. She's kind of the person responsible for this path of impacting lives through fitness and nutrition.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm very blessed to have the family that I do.
Yes, you are. And they're blessed to have you too.
Ah, shucks.
Okay, Dave.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about women.
Let's.
Okay, what is the first thing you notice about a woman?
Oh, it never changes, but it's like a 3-way race.
Okay.
It's hair. I love long, wavy, full head of hair. I love eyes, and then smile. They're all 3 on like the same level.
Yes.
But I'm an eye contact person, and I love to gaze into people's eyes, But that's the truth. Is like eye contact is very important. So I guess eyes would top the list, but those other 2, smile and hair, are like a close runner-up, and they're tied for 2nd place.
Okay, great. So this is a little bit different, but on the same lines. What is your favorite physical feature of a woman? Is it the eyes?
I think so, because that's where most of the genuine connection comes from. If she's not making eye contact with me, then there's not a trust factor there, and then we have to be building an intimate relationship with eye contact. And I have this really bad history of like leaping to the 2nd level of intimacy.
Okay.
And I want to race through the 1st level. But I'm learning to become more patient, and I'm learning to become more at a snail's pace instead of a racehorse, the thoroughbred, of actually enjoying that time during the first level of intimacy. And because of I love eye contact, I'm doing a better job of that.
You do have great eye contact. You do.
Uh-huh.
Well done.
It can come across as intense sometimes, but...
Oh, I think that's part of your charm.
Okay.
Side note.
All right, side note.
Yes.
It's charming.
It is so charming.
My intensity is charming. That Mack truck full of marshmallows.
It's so true. Okay, Dave. After physical attraction, what do you find attractive about a woman?
So many things, but I think sense of humor, honesty, integrity are all tops on my list, because I have to trust. Like, I've dived deep into the Enneagram workshops and the Enneagram personality assessment, and as a challenger, as the type 8, trust and believing in the other person is the foremost thing that an 8 and a challenger needs to feel safe, secure, and loved.
That is beautiful that you know yourself so well, and you know what you need.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and I think that the first Enneagram workshop and the first test that I took was the eye opener for me, and that's about a year and a half ago. Even though I was doing some growing before that with a book like The Big Leap, understanding what my limiting beliefs are, both in relationships and my personal life, and then professionally speaking, I can apply burden and not feeling good enough, like I'm not going to measure up, as 2 limiting beliefs that I needed to get past for my business to succeed and for me to succeed personally. But without the Enneagram, there's a workshop coming up in October that I'm going to. Again, it's the same one, and I'm learning more about myself every time that I go to the same workshop. Because of time that passes, I'm a different person, even in just a year and a half.
So you could get, it could be the same information, but you could perceive it differently or take something.
That's correct. Absolutely. And it's good measurable too. Like on the continuum of 1 through 9 on the Enneagram assessment, I may be more integrated during one time of the year and less integrated, disintegrated at another time. And that's why I'm following up 6 months later. In February, I went to this workshop and I learned that I was not where I wanted to be.
Oh.
And however, a year before that, I was exactly where I wanted to be. Some key pieces of the puzzle in the business were missing, things like leadership. But on a personal level, I was heading in the right direction. But a year later, I had actually taken so many steps back. And therefore, I was able to assess where I was at personally and then kind of slingshot myself forward over the next 6 months. And that's why I'm looking forward to going to the workshop after doing even more work than I ever thought possible.
That's beautiful. I applaud you for doing that work.
It's hard shit.
It is. It is. Okay, I'm going to take you back to women again.
Okay, let's,
Okay, women in general, the species, how do you feel about them?
What did I say 3 weeks ago? I'm just kidding. we don't have to use my cheat sheet. You did come in an interview. That's where this idea for this flipping of the tables, turning of the tables came from. Is you interviewed me for Men Are People Too. Men like carbs and pizza. Anyways, that was episode 2, wasn't it? Men Are People Too, and I believe 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I said that I'm actually fairly fearful. I'm actually terrified.
Yes, you said that.
I did, and I'm starting to realize that that's not 100% true. Although it was true that day, I had a very healthy fear of women when you interviewed me that day. But you know, even just a few extra weeks of work can do a man a whole lot of good.
And I feel like spiritually speaking, when you talk about your fears, a lot of times it's dissolved. So maybe there was some disillusion of that fear a little bit.
I love the acronym of false expectations appearing real, or face everything and run, or forget everything and run, as far as the fear acronym goes. But where I was at a few weeks ago, was just really getting some mixed signals from somebody I was dating. And then I think the next week I literally said, you know what? That's not acceptable, that I've asked very intentional questions. What are your intentions? And if you can't answer me, I'm going to move on. But I was still still wondering, and I was still questioning, and I was not comfortable when you asked me that question 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, whenever it was. But I put that, it was longer than that. But I put that process behind me because I faced my fear. I asked the hard question, and I didn't get an answer that was acceptable to me. So you know what? I established a healthy boundary, and I moved forward to become less afraid of women.
That's beautiful. So how do you feel about women today?
I love them.
Yeah.
I'm still scared shitless, but but in a different way. As like
women are people too, Dave.
I'm fearful of going too quick.
Okay.
Right? Of racing to that second level of intimacy. But now that I've identified it, I can slow myself down.
Okay.
I'm fearful of becoming coming across as too intense as a first impression, and then needing to kind of explain that I am that Mack truck full of marshmallows. So intentionally speaking, I'm softening my approach to dating. I'm softening my external image, I guess you would say. I'm doing it internally, but I believe that it's coming out in a softer image.
Mm-hmm.
At least I'm manifesting that, or I'm trying my hardest to make that appear authentic.
That's great. When it comes to women, do you have an idea of what women want in regards to relationships?
No.
Okay. Can you explain?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can use that asking a question of what are your intentions here. It was after 4 or 5 dates, so I felt like we'd gotten to know each other really well. There was no physical intimacy at the time, which is why the question kind of came up. Is like, we spent a lot of time together in a short period of time, but just a hug goodbye, you know? So after the 5th date, I'm like, you know what? What are your intentions here? And I had to move on. I had to move forward. So redirect me back to the original question, because I kind of got off topic there for a second.
Ideas. Do you have a good idea of what women
Right.
want? Do you understand what we want, Dave?
No, because still working through discovering another authentic person. Sitting across the table from me, you cannot identify that in the first encounter. You might start to catch authenticity or lack thereof on the second or third encounter, and then you really have to evaluate where you sit and if that's the right fit for you at that time. However, if there's less guard, if both of us are being less guarded, then our intentions can come out more naturally. And a good sense of communication about those intentions will help clear up everything. Like, if you want to call me, call me.
Yes.
If you want to text me, text me. We have to set some healthy boundaries that, like, you know, for people who work 9 to 5 jobs, you can't text 40 times between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m.
Yes.
Well, I work at 6 a.m. multiple days a week. I have to remember, oh, well, it's not early for me, but it's early for other people, even though I want to brighten your day first thing in the morning, you know, with a good morning text. So I've set healthy boundaries for myself so that another person knows my intentions, and I'm very clear. If I like you, I'll tell you. If it's not the right fit, I'll tell you. And the more often I do that, the more likely it is that I'm going to find an authentic person to give me that right back.
That's right. What do you find frustrating about women?
Oh, that's a really good question. I have such a stupidly positive, enthusiastically positive outlook on life right now. You know, things aren't perfect, and they never will be, but I'm riding out the roller coaster of dating very, very well right now. So I'm like I said in the beginning, I didn't want to become frustrated with the inauthentic people that I was encountering. So you know what? I'm going to create something new for myself that I've never, scary as hell, never even tried before. like being vulnerable and recording it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Writing about vulnerability on the blog and putting it out there on to the world to read. You know, our last episode, she read that blog post that I'm referring to, The Floodlights of Vulnerability, and she said, over text, she said, Dave, you're still holding back.
Whoa.
And of course, as an Enneagram challenger, the 8, I want to hear the truth. I want it like up front,
Right.
no sugarcoating whatsoever, so that I can address it and I can move on.
Yeah.
And this was like a month before recording the podcast, and so I was prepared to be called out again on that taping of the podcast. So since then, I've been trying to bear even more of my soul, or being more vulnerable and authentic, even though I host and facilitate an authentic dating podcast in Denver. I still wasn't even finding what I was seeking myself.
Well, and I would say because you're starting the conversation, and you're starting it because it's been something that you've struggled with, and you didn't come in as the authority, which I think it's really cool that you're leading the charge. And with the leading the charge, you're learning along the way and making it easier for. We talk about vulnerability on the daily.
Yeah, we do. It's funny because Jessica and I talk via one of my accounts on Instagram, the other account on Instagram, and then we talk over text.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we've ever done Facebook Messenger recently. But the reason is because I'm juggling three adventures, 2 businesses, and 2 podcasts. But, you know, when something resonates with me that you share on Instagram stories, I don't know which account I'm in, so I just start the conversation of like, that made me laugh, or that made me cry laughing, or that really touched my heart. And whatever account that I'm in on Instagram, I'm going to share that with you. And then we eventually bring it back to text message.
Yes.
But
And then coffee.
And then coffee, not as frequently as I would like, but
Yeah.
I think we can make that happen.
Yeah, we can do that.
But you travel a ton.
I do.
Yeah,
But
you have a yoga. I'm sorry, I'm flipping it back to me. You have a yoga retreat coming up in 2019, don't you?
I do. I have 2 of them.
All right. So if you guys are interested in yoga retreats internationally,
Yes.
follow Jessica Smith.
Yes.
All right.
I have Nepal in 2019 and Tulum, Mexico. And Tulum, Mexico is the one that all the single ladies can come to, and we will talk about men on the beach. Not men on the beach, but we will be on the beach talking about men.
Sign me up.
I have so many guys that are like, please, can I attend?
Okay, all right.
Anyway, let's get back to talking about women.
I love getting off topic. It's so much fun.
Okay, tell me, what are your 3 most important traits of your ideal woman?
Honesty, compassion, and I think this word of wholeheartedness has been coming up a lot for me recently. And this is an evaluation I'm having of myself. And the reason why I'm seeking out wholeheartedness in my partner is exactly that. I want a partner. I want somebody to be my biggest fan, somebody to be a raving fan of the things I do, even when we're not together. She actually doesn't even have to participate in that, but understand where and why I'm doing it. And if there's an opportunity to boost that to herself or to her community, then I would appreciate that a lot. But let me kind of backpedal a little bit. Wholeheartedness.
Yes.
I'm still looking for that moment of decision where I'm saying to myself, I don't need to look any further. I'm wholeheartedly interested in this person. And I did that once last year, and that's where the 3-month entanglement came from. I step out of the lift, it's the first time I'm supposed to meet, and immediately it was like, I can wholeheartedly date this person.
That's right on.
And it didn't end the way that I wanted it to, because it ended, right? That's as simply as I can put it. But I still am seeking out that moment, because then I know I'm ready for it. If I can make the decision, not quickly necessarily, but if I can make that decision in absolute, that I'm wholeheartedly willing to date one person, then that's great.
It's like all in. It's like
It is.
solid yes.
It is, but it's not like, again, it's not racing to level 2 of intimacy. It's enjoying the process of level 1,
Okay.
of building that trust and that affection and that excitement to go see somebody. Like, I like to date affordably. And whether I made $1 million a year, I would still want to date affordably, because those are the activities that I choose to do. Like a hike, a walk around the park with my dog. If you have a dog, yes, absolutely, that's amazing. But we can go out for dinner and drinks after, or we can meet for coffee beforehand, or anything like that that's less about how much and where we went and what was accomplished on the first date. It's more about just that genuine, authentic connection.
And just spending time together.
I think, well, of course, because quality time and physical touch are my 2 biggest love languages. We can all rope this in. We can tie it all in as pieces of the puzzle to be successful as an individual. And then when the time is right, then I can wholeheartedly decide, because I'm ready, to date one person.
That's beautiful.
Did I just get a sigh?
I did just sigh, didn't I?
That was a big one, too.
I feel like the ladies are going to be lined up. It's like your Tinder profile is just going to explode when you put this out.
You know what's so funny? I was thinking about this the other day about the apps, and there's like no search ability.
Oh, that's true.
Like you can swipe for 4 hours and probably not find my profile because of the abundance of people that are on the app. So, no, I'm not doing the podcast to find somebody to date. Like, they're probably not going to come from my listeners, because I'm meeting new people all the time, for business and for friendship and for genuine connection and authenticity. So I try to be as social as I possibly can 6 days a week. Then I'll recover for a day, and then I'll rinse and repeat. But why I say that is because, keep me on track here.
We were talking about the women lining up for you.
Oh, that's right. Let's just say that my phone's not ringing off the hook, which is okay with me, because I can easily get overwhelmed with volume, which is why I don't like to date more than one person at a time, because it's very overwhelming for me.
And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And deeper in the interview.
All right.
So.
I'm all yours. Like,
okay.
You are in the driver's seat of this sweet ass Ferrari that we've built.
Okay, so one of my favorite questions, especially being a woman, is what do women not know or misunderstand about men?
Oh, yeah, that's right. On your episode of the podcast, we talked about that was a big surprise to you.
Yes.
Is that men, even very masculine men from the outside, are still looking for genuine connection and love. And I think that's a very natural human desire. It's romanticized by Hollywood, and it's romanticized by American culture.
Sure.
But that shouldn't detract or dim the fact that it's legit. Like, I am looking for authentic connection with one person because I don't think that women know that about men. And the more times that I say that out loud, the more likely it is that they're finally going to understand that.
Right. So we're going to just keep repeating it. So,
right.
Yes.
I'm going to start shouting it pretty loud and pretty clear from the platform of a podcast of like, men are people too.
That's right.
Right? Men are people too. And we do really have a genuine desire for connection. And yeah, we want to protect. And yes, we want to be a leader. And I'm completely willing to compromise on how much leadership is in our relationship, me and my partner, because we are a partnership. This is not me dragging you along, kicking and screaming.
It's not a dictatorship.
No. That's so funny.
Well,
I've always loved that word.
Okay. Dave, I have another question about women. If you could read women's minds, what would you like to know?
Oh, shoot. I I think it comes down to, am I what you're looking for? And what made that so hard for so many years, for that conversation to even happen, is because of my stoic mask and because I was so damn guarded. And that was my own fault. That was nobody else's decision but my own. And as soon as I was able to flip the switch and make the opposite decision, because that wasn't working out for me at all. Remove the mask, take down my guard. That conversation is actually able to it's able to happen.
Which before you would just
I
ignore,
would just prevent it.
and
Yeah.
maybe there was some fear.
Oh, there was so much fear, for sure. You know, experiencing a 20 period length of time that was clouded by a history of trauma, I wouldn't allow anyone close enough to actually get that out on the table.
Wow.
And if I'm not going to be transparent and vulnerable and authentic and allow my mind and my heart to be read, I'm certainly not going to find that across the table.
That's right.
And I know that those decisions in my past and the choices that I made to put up my guard ruined a lot of good opportunities that I had to find that genuine, authentic connection with really, really great women.
And there's plenty of really, really great women out there.
Yes, there are. I'm not going to miss my chance again.
No.
Not because of my own stupidity or my own fear or my own immaturity. No.
Let's talk about relationships.
Okay.
What is the longest relationship you've been in?
There are three relationships that lasted about 3.5 years each. I believe my marriage lasted the longest out of them all, but only by like a couple of months or a few months or whatever. So 3 long-term relationships in the last 20 years.
Okay.
Maybe a little less, but.
The next question is one I'm really excited for you to share for your listeners, because when I asked you this question 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I was really blown away by your answer, and I thought it was beautiful. So my question is, the longest amount of time you've been happy in a relationship?
Oh, right. This is so hard to admit, but it was not long.
Yeah.
It was completely, I mean, it's just months, like maybe a year tops, you know? And that's really a hard thing to face, is that the stoic mask and being guarded and being so fearful of letting people close to me, it certainly didn't make me happy with myself. So therefore, I could not be happy in that relationship. And damn it, if it took 20 years to learn that.
Well, I'm glad you did. You had, the word that you had used that really stuck out in our last interview was delusional.
I had deluded myself. Yes, that's absolutely correct. That I was really good at pretending. Of course, a lot of people who suffer from depression and anxiety do pretend. And the person that they're fooling and deluding them most is themselves. And I see it compassionately in other people. And I think that really drives my purpose and my mission and my vision forward, professionally and personally, so much, because we have solutions for that.
Yes.
And until I found that out on my own, of doing the really, really hard work by getting slapped in the face multiple times by God or whatever spiritual being that you resonate with.
Yes.
Mine, it just happens to be the Christian faith, and God slapped me in the face 3 times. He's like, Dave, you're still not paying attention. I'm like,
listen to me.
It's like knuckles on my forehead, like, yeah, literally. So finding out that piece of the puzzle, that it all starts with me and it all starts with my decision making, and whether I have my guard up or it's down or my stoic mask on or off, I'm not going to be happy if it's on.
It's good to know.
That's so and I don't know if we've talked about this, like, I'm happy and single. Would I prefer to be in a partnership? Yeah, absolutely. But I had to be happy alone first. Could things be better? Sure, absolutely. You know, parenting is always hard. Whether things are good or not, parenting is always hard.
Yes. So, talking about being happy in relationships, moving forward, I'm just going to ask this question. I think we know what the answer is. You've said it multiple times. Do you want to be in a healthy, committed relationship right now?
Yeah. That key word is right now.
Right now.
Do I want to jump? Do I want to get cuffed up for the fall season? We were talking about this right before we hit record, and I love that my friends in San Diego call it cuffing season. That's so funny. That's the first place I heard it. Am I going to rush into it? Absolutely not.
But if it organically happens.
Yeah. Is that the end goal for me actually dating?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to date just to date. I'm going to date to be present and available for my partner that's supposed to be there. And what did you say before? Whether it's for coffee or a lifetime?
Yes. Well, reason, season, lifetime.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. If it's for a moment, for a season of our lives, or forever.
That's correct.
Yeah.
God, two peas in a pod today.
We are.
Yeah, I know.
But we're like this
Yeah, we are.
together.
Every time we grab coffee.
It's every time we have coffee, I feel like we need to hit record because something profound, hilarious, entertaining,
deep for sure. I think that without those 2 or 3 moments of coffee or 2 or 3 opportunities to sit down and be authentic with each other off air led us to this point of trusting each other and connecting with each other on air.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah, without that foundation of trust, even as friends, and we have a lot of common interests.
We do.
Without knowing that, we wouldn't have the friendship that we do.
Yes.
Yeah. I know.
So cute. Okay. What are the 3 things you need to be happy in a relationship?
That's a really good question. I need honesty. I need trust. I need a foundation of friendship.
Okay.
Yeah. These are such good questions. I need these questions for when I'm the host.
I'll share them with you. Do you believe in monogamy?
Absolutely.
Great. So it's for you.
It's for me.
Perfect. Okay. I have a really serious question.
Let's get deep. Let's get dirty.
That the queens, the real women of the world want to know. Is chivalry dead?
No, it's not.
Go ahead.
No. Open the damn door. Call first. The way that we date nowadays, being electronically inclined, text messages. When I started my business 6 years ago, I never would have thought that text would be the preferred communication of my clients. I was actually really disappointed that I didn't email and I didn't call. It was all text. And I think that was the first step forward for me in personal growth of setting boundaries. First of all, you don't text me after 9 o'clock unless it's an emergency as a client.
Okay. Yes.
If we're getting to know each other dating, we have to have healthy boundaries around texting as well. We touched on it earlier, but the chivalrous part of this whole process is, wouldn't you like it if you got a call the day before your date to confirm or to say, hey, you know what? I'm really looking forward to it.
Of course.
Right?
I love chivalry. And I work with my female clients of how to appreciate and cultivate a chivalrous relationship. And I encourage my male clients to be chivalrous. And I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. I'm a romantic, so. I'm
a borderline romantic, pessimist. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. I'm truly optimistic about everything.
You are very, very optimistic.
It's my enthusiastic positivity. Anyways, I think the car door is a big thing. What's so funny about technology and like convenience factor of where we're at in just the timeline of life is my Hyundai doesn't have a keyhole on the passenger side. But guess what? My keyless remote thing broke. So it prevents me from being chivalrous. So here's what happens. I unlock my driver's door with my actual, I turn my key in my door, and then I walk around and open up the damn passenger door.
Aw.
I mean, of course, if like it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but that's the bare minimum.
That is a huge indicator for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't want to touch a door.
Like ever?
Well, I mean, when I'm with a man.
First date?
Oh, for sure.
So let me recount just a little bit of a recent date. Okay, I was on a date, and they bring a pitcher in the carafe, right? A carafe of water.
Okay.
And there's 2 glasses of water. This is the server in me from back in the day of getting through college, serving tables, right? So like sitting across, having great conversation. There's a connection there. There's fun there, and I fill up my water with a carafe, and hers was about 2/3 of the way full. And she gave me a look, like, down at her glass.
Oh,
And, like, as a server, when you get down to about 1/3 full, it's going to be topped off, right?
Yeah.
Whether I have a water pitcher or there's a carafe on the table or whatever. And I got the hint, like, real quick, and I filled up the water glass, you know, because, like, I'm a good human being, and that's kind of first and foremost, is just don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Right? And there are expectations of chivalry, and then how do we manage those? That's another thing.
That's another podcast.
I think that's a whole nother podcast
Yes.
of simply just managing expectations, and I would love to dedicate time to that conversation as opposed to just touching on it in our conversations.
I agree.
And upon thinking about it, you know, I'm just like, all right, I can go to the next level. I can be over the top chivalrous, but it still has to be genuine and authentic for me to accomplish it on a regular and consistent and long-term basis.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, but it was a teaching lesson for me. It was a learning lesson. I'm like, I'm paying attention. I'm present. I could have just filled up the water glass. That's okay with me.
That's a good lesson.
I'll never miss it again.
That's great. Okay, let's talk about what you don't like about being single.
Oh, I've talked about mixed signals earlier, and that is a big question mark, I think, on both sides of what's equitable. I've heard of this +1, -1 system of dating, and like I systemize everything else in my life, but I don't systemize dating in this kind of a context. But what I do evaluate and I do look at very, very seriously is there an equitable transfer of communication and information going back and forth? And like, why that's important to me is that it negates all mixed signals. It overcomes the fact that those are happening. Do I get caught up in my workday? You know, I like a girl and I've texted her every day for almost a month now, you know, and I didn't text until like 5 o'clock yesterday because I got so wrapped up in my workday because I had an event to go to last night, and I'm like, oh, well, that could be sending a mixed signal. I'm going to reach out as soon as I think of it and try to brighten somebody else's day. You know? So that I'm not sending mixed signals because I don't want that in return.
Yes. What do you enjoy about being single?
Well, I don't drink coffee, but I love coffee dates. I love going on as many coffee dates as I possibly can. But
Oh, that's what you were saying earlier. I always say coffee or cocktails. Is that what you were?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been asked that question a lot recently. It's like, wine, whiskey, or coffee? And I'm like, all of the above? And
Yes.
I'm not much of a drinker.
Can we throw in tacos? Just top it off.
It's a Tuesday. No, just kidding. It's Thursday. I can have tacos on a Thursday. What do I love about being single? I love the fact that I can set my most important priorities when I want them. My daughter is number one, and she always will be. there's a partnership there. Like when somebody comes into my life, we're partners and still putting Madison at the top of our priority list. You know, I got to take care of myself. I can't pour from an empty cup, which is why I need to establish those priorities as a single person so that I'm not getting away from them when I am in a partnership, in a relationship, right?
Yes.
So my routine every single week is the same. I know when I go to jiu-jitsu. I know when I weight lift. I know when I'm at work. I know when I have what I call red, yellow, green time in my schedule. And red time is meant for dating. Red time is meant for connection and saying yes to events from, you know, my partner, or inviting them to do something too.
Well, let's talk about your dating life. And this can be the lightning round, if you wish, or feel free to elaborate.
Okay. Let's just fire it off. I'm
Okay.
gonna loosen up here.
Okay.
All right.
So let's pretend you're out in a social setting.
Okay.
Okay. And you see someone attractive. Who approaches who first? Do you have any rules on that?
Oh, I love this when we talked about it before. I love equality. I love making a woman feel like she's my equal, but yet the chivalry part of the process is important to me. I want to keep that alive. I want to keep it fresh. I want to keep it flirty. And so if I get a signal, or what I perceive to be a signal,
Yeah.
I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna walk up because I'm certainly not gonna let her get out the door without talking to her.
Smart man.
Yeah, right?
Very smart.
Yeah. I don't like having that decision made for me. Like I'm gonna be scared to walk across the room. I'm not gonna be vulnerable enough to make that first attempt.
I'm gonna wait, and maybe she'll give me another signal.
Right. No, I'm just gonna get one signal and then trip over my words and fall on my face when I'm walking across the room. That happens.
It does happen.
I'm clumsy.
It does happen, and as a woman, that's like the best answer that we would like to hear.
Is that when I first see a signal, I should hustle on over.
Well, that you strike when the iron is hot, and that you have that chivalrous, that masculine approach to it.
Leadership. You know, there's masculine and feminine, and there's balance inside of all of us on both, but there still takes a lot of leadership.
Right.
In everything that I try to do.
Okay, let's say you make your approach and you and this woman have a nice conversation. You exchange phone numbers, or you get her phone number. Who texts or calls who first? Do you have any rules around that?
Well, it's obvious if I get her number, I have to make the first move.
Right.
And if that's the case, then it's usually within 24 hours.
Okay.
You know, like there are, I remember this conversation now. You prepped me very well for this podcast. If it was flirty enough and if it was a good enough conversation, you can invite the other person to say, let me know you got home safe. And that's a really, really great way to start connecting sooner rather than later. You know, but that's also part of quote unquote the game, which I hate playing. But hell, if I get home 2 hours later, okay, let's not say 2 hours later, if I get home pretty quick after and it's not outside of my boundaries to actually send a text, I'll say, hey, hope you got home safe. It was great to talk to you. Just want to make sure you have my number.
I love it.
And try to make that as little game as possible.
I love it. I think that's beautiful. Okay, when you ask a woman out, will you ask her out in person? Will you call her or text her?
I think that answer really depends. That depends on how much we've talked. That depends on how we met. That depends on what the hell is going on in my life, like how busy I am. However, that should never be like a consideration. Like I'm uber busy, which means I shouldn't be dating, or I'm really busy, and that's kind of an excuse not to call.
Yeah.
You know, if I like you that much, I'll call you on my way home from work and see what you're doing later in the week. If we had a great first date, I'll call for the second.
That's great.
If those aren't crossing any boundaries, if it's the right time of day, I don't work normal hours. Like, my best time to communicate is between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, or after 7. That's really hard to be within people's boundaries if they have an opposite schedule of mine, 9 to 5 job,
Right.
or maybe they have kids, and 8 o'clock at night is not a great time to text or call. But you can still leave a damn voicemail.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, when you go on this date, who decides what you do?
Oh, that's definitely a compromise.
Okay.
I love making suggestions, and I've done that before of like, hey, let's do a picnic in the park. That's if I really like her.
That is very romantic.
That's like third date type
You
stuff.
are romantic.
I am. I'm a big softie, aren't
You
I?
are.
But I think that, like, if I'm saying I love coffee dates, so like, why don't we meet for coffee? But do you have a favorite coffee shop that you like in between us or in your neighborhood? I have a more flexible schedule than most people because I have got the team rocking here at the studio with me, and I stepped out of the studio today, grab coffee. Who knows what that's gonna be, but is that a client, or is that a future friend, or is that a strategic partner, or is that somebody that I'm gonna make out with next week?
Hey.
I don't know.
We'll see. To be continued. Okay, on these dates, who will pay?
That's also a compromise too.
Is it?
If it's a coffee date, damn, the man should pay, because that's not putting anybody out. And if a coffee date puts you out, don't be dating. But I mentioned earlier that I do like to affordably date. And that doesn't mean that we're going to Chipotle on the second date. We're not ever going to go to Chipotle as a date. We'll go to Chipotle on our way out of town for a weekend away. We'll do that.
Hey.
But that's like 2 months in, or what? I'm not even like putting a timestamp on it, but that's more realistic. Like, if we're going away together, we're probably packing our food. We're probably making a plan ahead of time.
So romantic.
I almost got another sigh out of you.
I almost sighed.
Oh, good times. I'm going to give you, I'm going to take back, not control, but I'm going to lead us through the finish line.
Okay.
You have 3 more amazing questions to throw out in the next few minutes. So make them good, girl. And it doesn't even have to come off your script. It can come.
Okay, when was the last time you bought a girl flowers?
Oh, you're calling me out.
I am.
That's a really good question, and I do remember the week. It was November of 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm buying flowers, it's because I'm in a relationship.
Okay.
And I'm monogamous, and I'm committed, and I'm wholeheartedly dating that person. She had a really rough week at work, and to finish off that week, I bought flowers and I dropped it off at work. We broke up a week later, but that doesn't dissuade me from doing it in the future.
That's beautiful.
It's also heartbreaking too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Okay. I'm going off script. I'm putting it down. I have some other good questions, but I want to just hear from you. Now, you've talked to so many experts. You've dated a fair amount of women, we'll say. What is your best piece of dating advice that you could share?
Oh, that's a freaking great question. I try to be the facilitator. I try not to be the expert. And I think that my best piece of advice is, if you feel it, say it. If you want the other person to know it, say it. If you think that you bring value to the table, then you can wholeheartedly date. But until you know your worth and until you know your value with yourself and for yourself, I don't know if you're in the right position to be dating. You're not doing yourself any favors. If you can't muster up the courage is not without fear.
No,
Courage
sir.
is feeling the fear and facing it anyways, and doing it anyways. That's a TJ Housington thing. if you're too afraid to say out loud, I like you, don't be dating. But if you're courageous enough to say that out loud, freaking say it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And addressing all genders
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
That it's
Yeah.
not, a man thing or a woman thing. It's well, Davey, thank you so much. I like you. I'm so glad we're friends. Thank you for giving me the keys to the Ferrari and letting me drive for a while. I appreciate it. It was fun.
We went through second gear, third gear, and I don't think we ground a single gear in there.
We didn't.
You drive pretty good in
heels. We didn't
heels.
stall. Thank you. I do.
I trust you with the Ferrari at any time. If I am ever on sabbatical,
okay,
would you be willing to fill in and sit in the driver's seat?
It would be an honor. Thank you. I'd love to.
That's so freaking amazing, and I love the fact that you came down and spent the time with me to be a guest facilitator on the Believe, I stumbled over my words, the Believe, Be Real, Be Bold podcast. And I hope that you guys learn a little bit more about why and how this whole thing got started in the first place about 3 months ago. We're 13 episodes in, and I want to thank Jessica Smith for coming on down and really asking some tough questions. And this was a lot of fun for me.
Good. I had fun too.
It was a whole lot of vulnerability. I hope that you guys can connect a little bit better with what we're trying to do by sharing the message of authentically dating. And we're going beyond just dating now. I think that we're kind of approaching personal growth and development in general. If you're married, I hope that you get a value out of this content. If you're single and you have questions, I hope you're getting value out of what we're doing here.
Yes.
And if you believe that this message can resonate with anyone you know, please share the podcast on iTunes or Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube, because this video is going to go up and you guys can watch this in action as I blush and as I as we sit here in the office of the studio. And please like, comment, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and subscribe iTunes. And I already said that. I'm getting, my vulnerability is coming out, and these limiting beliefs are just like raging in my mind. But that's all part of the process. And please subscribe on one of the platforms and leave us a review so that we know that the message is actually getting out there. Mm-hmm. And we want to thank you guys for being loyal listeners.
Yes.
And helping us grow. And if Jessica is thebomb.com and you resonate with her message too, please listen to episode 2 and reach out to her, because she has got some of the best advice that I've heard when it comes to dating authentically in Denver.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Uh-huh.
And thank you for listening.
I'll see you guys next week.